Hello, welcome to video 10. It's Chris Bezanoy, icecan.com, Ice TV. We're going through our Facility Security Design 101 for Cannabis Production Facilities series. Today we're going to talk about the flower rooms. We've already gone through the mother, the clone, reception, front entrance areas, secured storage, packaging, drying, trimming. Go ahead and watch those. I give little tips and tricks along the way. Today we're going to talk about the flower rooms. I'm going to combine all three of these rooms because they're all the same, so I'm not going to do different videos for each. Nonetheless, there are security considerations we should talk about for each room specifically. So for the flower room specifically, you're going to want access control in these rooms. Again, I'm a big fan of access control. It restricts access to the space for those that have a reason to be there. You could have temporary workers that are helping you with your trimming. You don't want them to have access into the flower. Maybe you do only certain times during the day. You can program the systems to unlock this door between 2 and 4, as an example. Or it could be restricted so that a master grower must come into this room, hold open the door briefly for other seasonal workers to be inside this space, but at least you're restricting access and we know who's inside these rooms. Now, I would also put a door contact. It's always good to know, should somebody happen to breach the doors and not present their credential, or at least from intrusion detection if somebody breaches your facility and gets into your flower rooms. As mentioned before, I would not put a motion detector inside of these rooms simply because, especially in the flower room, you're probably going to have fans, or you're at least going to have plants that are moving back and forth, mainly because of the environment. So motion detection does not know the difference between I'm a plant moving back and forth and I'm a human being trying to break into your facility. All it does is detect motion. So you have to consider maybe there are plants that move back and forth. Maybe you've got automated tables that move back and forth. Maybe you've got a conveyor belt that moves plants along a process. Either way you look at it, I would not put motion detection inside flower rooms. The only way I would do it is if there was an emergency exit from your flower room. Sometimes greenhouses have this. I would put a motion detector, but I would put it right close to the door and configure it so it's almost facing the door, so you don't detect motion in the rest of your areas. You're going to get nothing but nuisance alarms if you put a motion detector inside of a cultivation room, flower, mother, or clone. I would also be mindful of the cameras that you put into these rooms. I know some jurisdictions, some countries require full camera coverage for anything cannabis related, whether it's processing or whether it's cultivation. Canada tried that. It is very difficult. And the reason being is that your retention periods for a room that has a cannabis plant in it is going to go through the roof. Why? Because when you put a camera inside a flower room, as we mentioned before, there could be fans inside that room. Motion back and forth. Motion will trigger a camera to record at full frames. There could be lighting considerations inside these rooms. When there's a light cycle on, when the lights are off, the IR illumination could affect the grow and the lighting spectrum inside of these rooms. If you do have to have cameras inside the flower room, you may want to do a 360 camera that looks from the top down. It's still going to be subject to the same issues. It's still going to burn through your video storage because video storage is bigger when the room is dark and is also bigger when you're always recording at 30 frames. You can see how it becomes challenging if the requirements in the regulation state you must keep video footage for 1 year of anything in cannabis related inside your facility. And when a flower room is recording at 30 frames a second almost all day, every day, because of the motion, because the lights are off, because you're using IR illumination, you could see how that small video surveillance server you have needs to be expanded exponentially. In the beginning of legalization in Canada, as an example, and sometimes in the States this is happening too, where you have to retain video for 1 year, even 60 days, sometimes 90 days, there could be petabytes of storage for your video surveillance. We're talking $500,000 worth of video storage just simply because you had 10 cameras inside a flower room to meet regulations. It is a challenge. It can be done. But if you don't have to, then I would not put cameras inside your flower rooms. Maybe one camera can be put inside. I wouldn't record it. It could just be for your master grower to log in from their house to make sure that the lights went on, to make sure that there's nothing wrong with those rooms. Maybe they want to have a few drinks on a Saturday night and relish in the fact that they're growing cannabis. Whatever the case may be, you may want to put a camera inside this room for operational use only. I wouldn't attach it to the video surveillance system. It's going to blow your storage through the roof. So cameras inside this space only if necessary to meet compliance. And if you absolutely want to have cameras inside this room, be mindful of IR illumination, be mindful of where you put that camera, be mindful of motion detection in that camera, ramping up to 30 frames a second, plants moving back and forth. It generally becomes a flat out shit show to put cameras inside of flower rooms. Be mindful. Reach out to us if you want to know any other solutions that you could use if you must have cameras inside your rooms. But generally speaking, it's not a good idea. I wouldn't put them in. I would only have intrusion detection and access control inside this space If there's an exit door, again, like I mentioned before, you could put motion detection in front of that door. You can also put a camera facing that door. I wouldn't put a camera facing your canopy space. Easy protection for flower rooms. You can leave these doors open. I have seen sometimes where somebody would restrict access to this main entrance door from gowning. And the idea is they're saying, well, anybody that passes this door has access to any door within this facility because I'm allowing them to. Maybe they're security cleared. Maybe it's only the master grower. If a master grower goes through this door, maybe it's the owner. The owner goes through this door. I don't need to restrict access to this door, to this door, to this door, because the idea is that if they've gone through the door, they're allowed to be in this space. You can absolutely argue that. You can do that if you wish. I recommend against it because there may be a time where you're big enough where you're the owner and don't need to be on site every day. You may hire a master grower. That master grower may hire temporary workers to trim, to dry, to package, whatever. You're going to want to restrict access into these rooms. And furthermore, a lot of regulations that I'm seeing now in different countries, we're talking about Greece, the UK, and other emerging countries, they require restriction of access to all cannabis operation areas. So be mindful of when you're designing your system. You may think it's not necessary from an operation point of view. It might be necessary from a compliance point of view. Much like the cameras, just be mindful of what you put inside your facility. Nonetheless, we're going to go into the extraction room next. It's just like any other processing rooms, except extraction machines could be quite large. I'm going to go through some of the things you need to be mindful of the extraction room. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. This informative video was brought to you by icecan.com, the industry's first marketplace for new and used equipment. Whether you're looking for brand new equipment for your cannabis venture, maybe you're looking for some used equipment, we can easily source that for you and ship it to you anywhere in the world, right to your front doorstep. Maybe you're looking for some services. We know a lot of great people in this industry. You've been around for the past 10 years. We can easily help you and refer you to anybody that you may need, whether it's advisory services, regulatory compliance, maybe you're looking for some funding for your cannabis venture. Either way you look at it, we can easily help source that consultancy or that service you may need. Once again, thanks for watching. This is ICE TV, brought to you by icecan.com.